Hey guys, welcome back to TPK Racing. I know it's been probably 2 years since I've made a video last. A lot of things have been happening, and COVID killed a lot of things as far as planning and projects and just business in general. So definitely had to downsize and move everything into um, another location, basically my garage, which is a 5-car garage. I got 208 power, I got everything. I got both my lifts here, as you can see. I got this Camaro sitting here and this Mustang I'm doing a turbo kit on. This Camaro here was just doing a 6.0 swap with a 4L80, custom made exhaust, and nothing special. You know, maybe got like a stage 3 cam in it, and it's just going to be a fun cruiser. So, but back to the last video I had was about the red SN95, I believe, and that we were using for no prep with Eugene. When I had on the dyno, there was something that was going wrong. There was kind of a little bit of a hiccup, and we were trying to tune in the new Holley system, and all of a sudden there was a burst of flames in the engine bay, and the fire was really gnarly on the dyno. If I had to take a stab at the price-wise, it was probably about like $15,000 worth of damage. It was pretty substantial. Did get the fire out with fire extinguishers and a water hose, and shutting off the car, because it was, I guess, what it came down to on doing the inspection on it afterwards. One of the fuel lines had ruptured, and I believe on the spark plug wire it might have had a tear in it. So when the hose ruptured, spark got it and away it went. It was like immediate, and the fire got worse and worse and worse because, well, when the pump's on, and it's a really healthy flowing pump for at least 1,600 horse, so you can imagine it's like a garden hose, and you're lighting a match to it, and now it's a huge flamethrower. So we got the car shut off, but we had to hurry up and get it out. So after that was all said and done, and we sat down with the owner, and at that point in time, he just wasn't ready to spend the money to fix everything, to bring it back to life, and then try to go racing. He felt like, when this was probably maybe about when COVID just started hitting, or just before, and when COVID really happened, where a lot of places were shut down and stuff like that, he just didn't think that, well, what's the point of spending the money to get it fixed and we can't do anything. So he decided to offload the project, and he said at some point later in time I'll buy another roller or something along those lines, and we'll build that one, and then we'll go back out racing. I said, cool, sounds good to me. But now I'm here at my shop. I still got plenty of projects to do. As you can see on this 3rd gen Camaro sitting behind me, that one I will have another video on. It's a pretty cool one. I've had this car for a while. I've done no prep racing with it. It's a awesome build. That one I'm going to have to show you guys as well. It's I guess your standard run-of-the-mill 427, but with a 118 millimeter turbo. So should make a lot of good power. Yes, it will be a no prep car. So until other people that want to join in on the fun, that want to start no prep racing and use their cars for it and stuff like that, then I will gladly help them along the way, and build whatever I need to, fabricate whatever I need to get their cars running in tip-top condition and be competitive. So enough of that, and let's get going on projects that I currently have. And one of them right now is, like I said, that 2005 Mustang right over there. Now that one is built motor. Well, I consider it my stage 1 build, which is basically rods and pistons, ARP head studs, and still has the same cams. That is actually the same car that was in the dyno videos once upon a time ago. So now he was ready for more power. And originally wanted to do a Pro Charger onto it, or like a Kenny Bell. Actually, it was a Kenny Bell. And Kenny Bell said, sorry, it's 3 to 6 months to get something. And that was just insane. And he was like, so what else could we do? And I was like, well, I can custom fabricate you a turbo kit so that you can keep all your air conditioning and fun stuff and everything. And I was like, actually, you'll be more of a one-off car than you would if you had a Kenny Bell. I mean, everybody's got a Kenny Bell, or everybody's got a Pro Charger, everybody's got a Vortex. So it's like, if you do a custom turbo kit, yes, a lot of people have turbo kits, but at least yours is like built for yours. It's not like I made something that is going to be on the same, you know, 2005s up to whatever, I think it's like 2010 Mustangs. You know, your same kit may be mimicked here and there, but it's never going to be like copied exactly to a T on other cars. And I was like, quite frankly, I don't think I'm going to do that. And he was like, yeah, I'm all for it. Let's do it. So I've been doing that along with this Camaro here. I also have a 1970 Oldsmobile 442 that's pretty cool. It's what I would call a sleeper on the outside. I mean, it's not in pristine condition, but it looks cool. And that one's got a 6-liter in it, built motor, built 4L80, manually shifted, still on the factory style computer system, which personally I would have rather had a Holly in it, but hey, it is what it is. So I'm tuning that one right now. That one's got an F1C Pro Charger on it. Should make a killer 1100 horse at the very least. So we'll check that out. I'll have that in the video in this one. So stay tuned. Let's go check it out. All right, guys. So as I said, here she is. Not, you know, a car show winner. I don't think it was ever meant to be one anyways. So she needs some work, but she's one of those where she's got something killer happening in the engine bay. So it did come in originally just for a tune. I had to make some changes. There was some wiring issues. And I had to wire up, instead of having a MAF on it, it is now speed density, but we're still using the MAF because it has an intake air temp sensor in this one. So I figured we might as well just keep that in there for now, and if I wanted to modify somewhere in the piping, or if he wanted to, he can add an IAT sensor and a bung somewhere and then just take the wiring and transfer it over to that. So had to do some ignition wiring to it, adding some fuses, a new fuse holder and stuff like that. Originally, I guess he had an 18-volt system in here, and because of the pump that he has, and he wants to run an E85. Well, unfortunately, on a stock computer, it does not like to be ran at 18 volts, because that's pretty much where it maxes out at. So all your injection timing, short pulses, everything is just running, you know, at the jagged edge. It's just like, you know, when your factory car today, it usually charges around like 14.7, but if it ends up going to like 15 or 16 or 17 volts, you know, the car automatically goes into a limp mode, or it starts shutting down systems to prevent you know, a failure. And so I ended up redoing the wiring on it, so that way now it's back to 12 volts. And so on this car, I did have some injector issues. A lot of the cylinders were either underfueled or overly fueled, and he had a set of snake eater injectors, and I don't know really anything about snake eater injectors. Typically I've had the mindset of where, when, you know, having a shop, and when I used to have the dyno and messing with a lot of other cars and different types of injectors, you know, it's typically a part of the line of, if you buy a cheap set of injectors by like a no-name brand or something along those lines, you end up getting what you pay for, and you always have either a ton of trouble, or they're not really properly flow matched. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are injectors out there on the market that are pretty good, competitive in pricing, like Siemens Deca 80-pound injectors. You know, those are very good, very well priced. So, you know, but those are a nice injector. They're good. and I really haven't had any problems with those whatsoever. Maybe some like idle issues on fueling here and there on certain cars that aren't meant to have like an 80-pound injector, but it's something that you can easily overcome. It's not like, you're going to really truly have a horrible time with it running and it changes your drivability, or your how you like the car. Every time you modify a car, it's going to be one of those things where it's not going to be stock anymore. It's not going to have that stock drivability that it once had. Now, we try very, very hard to get it that way, or to stay that way, and sometimes we can, and then sometimes in certain situations for combos like that, it's just not practical. But in this case, for him, with those injectors, it just never was going to happen. I wouldn't trust those injectors if I wanted to make 1100 horsepower on it. Now, I think there has been other people that have had better luck with them. Great, good for them. But it just wasn't something that I wanted to deal with because there's just so much involved. So we ended up getting FIC 1400s. Now, I will say, as soon as I put them in, put new plugs in it, changed the mapping for FIC 1400s, man, what a world of a difference. Startup was different. Just revving the motor was a lot cleaner. Then you check the EGTs and each runner, and they're all within like 75 degrees of each other, which is awesome. So did that. Now there's some other changes I need to make on here, like a brake booster, a brake master cylinder, change that out, and then get back to tuning, drive it on the road, see what happens, get that all worked out, which I will have video of, and then it'll be moving on to E85. So the idea of this car, for what the setup is, it's definitely better off on E85 or race gas like C16 or something like that. And I don't think he wants to spend the money on C16, which I don't blame him. And there's really no reason to. If he has, or if anybody has the option to get E85 at a gas station or anything like that, then I would just think it'd be way easier and a far better setup just to do that, because then you can just fill it up as you're at the gas station. There isn't, you get rid of the whole thing of buying a barrel. And C16 is a great fuel. Just sometimes it's just not practical if you want to have an actual street car where you're going to drive it around and you want to go to a gas station. And I completely understand that there's times where you want to take your 12 or 1400 horsepower car and you want to have 1400 horsepower as you're cruising. You don't want to detune it to drive on the street and now you're making like 700. What's the fun in that when you go, well, I'm making 700 now, but if I put C16 in the car, oh man, it makes 1400. And they're like, well, why don't you go do that? Well, it's like $10 a gallon and I gotta order it and then swap the fuel out, and then what am I gonna do, go on a cruise? So I'm done with it. Get it all done, and let's move on to the next project. Stay tuned, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.